Howdy folks, and I hope it's assholes and elbows wherever you are in collecting land. And welcome back to the channel for another episode of Grail or Fail. For anyone new to the channel, Grail or Fail is where we revisit a 1/6 scale figure widely considered to be a classic and find out if it's still worthy of that Grail status today. There's a full playlist of all the episodes of Grail or Fail on the homepage if you wanted to check out what you've missed. So, under the microscope today, it's the Hot Toys Alien Warrior. Released back in 2016 to coincide with the 30th anniversary of James Cameron's classic movie Aliens. So, usual format folks, we will get uncomfortably close to Stan Winston's team's take on the Xenomorph. Then it will be verdict time, and then we'll be wrapping the whole thing up with the usual showcase at the end. But before we dive in, I'd like to send the usual shout out to everyone who supported the channel. And please drop a like on this video as it helps other people find Go Figure. And if you haven't already, be sure to mash that subscribe button and bell notification icon. And if it's anything alien related that you're after, there's a playlist of all the alien content as well on the homepage. So be sure to check that out as well. So, with Hot Toys announcing their 2.0 version of the Alien Big Chap recently at the ACGHQ, and a rumoured 2.0 artisan version of Ripley on the horizon from the original Alien, maybe this is a sign that Hot Toys are going to revisit the franchise and maybe give us some new figures. I, for one, would love to see an artisan Aliens Ripley. The Colonial Marines, maybe a Bishop, and maybe even a 2.0 1/6 scale power loader as well. But enough of my 1/6 scale wish list. Let's dive in and find out if the Alien Warrior is a Grail or a fail. Okay, so spinning stop, let's dive in and have a close-up with the Alien's Alien and find out what all the fuss is about. Before we get really up close to them, let's take a look at these proportions. And I've got to say, for a 10-year-old figure, I think the proportions, the overall look, are most certainly there. They've captured the Alien's aesthetic spot on, but we'll take a close-up look at the details. But yeah, changes here, some huge changes actually from the original Alien, from the original '79 movie, the Alien designed by H.R. Giger. And Stan Winston Studios made a lot of changes here, and not to everyone's taste and not to everyone's agreement. But me personally, I think it was a good upgrade. I think it still holds up today. Perhaps not quite as good as the original look, but they wanted something new. They wanted something different and something a bit more practical for the shooting on the set as well. So this is what Stan Winston came up with, and I think Hot Toys overall definitely caught the proportions there with those oversized legs and feet, the length of the arms there. I'm not going to go through all the changes that Stan Winston's team made to the original suit itself, because we would be here all night. But suffice it to say, Hot Toys have captured that original suit very, very well indeed. But let's take a look at the details, and let's do as we always do. Let's start at the bottom and work our way up. So let's start with that base. Now, regulars to the channel will know my feeling on Hot Toys repurposing bases, and they've done it here. Fortunately, they only repurposed this base once, as far as I'm aware, and it was repurposed from the original Hot Toys Alien Ripley, the '79 Ripley. However, it is a good base. I'm not going to argue the toss on that one. It is really, really nicely done. You've got this sort of industrial feeling going on, this all metallic sections. Obviously it's all one piece of sculpted plastic, and it's great to see they haven't just used a standard hexagon or oval as it was back in the day there. And they've done a cracking job here. You've got these sort of yellow and black warning strips at the front. The paint applications are really nice with dry brushing and greys and blacks used there to pick out that industrial feel, and it's meant to sort of replicate the atmosphere processor on LV-426, or in the case of Ripley, the Nostromo. But yeah, as repurposed bases go, not too bad at all. I like it a lot, and I think it works with this figure. You can get away with it with this figure. and it can be the Nostromo, it can be the atmosphere processor, so no complaints there. And I think Hot Toys have done a really, really nice job with it. It's got a big footprint, so you're going to need some space in your display for this one, but overall, yeah, really, really liking it. And you've got that Alien Warrior section at the front there, that little, well, it's not really a sticker, it's sort of etched into the plastic at the front there, but it's really, really nice. Let's spin this around a little bit so you can see the details. As you can see there, the paint applications continue all the way around the back, and overall, yeah, and not a bad base. This I like this base a lot, and thank goodness it was only repurposed the once. But let's start with the figure himself, and let's start with these feet now. I believe they're on a ball joint, these feet, so there is articulation there, and we will get to the elephant in the room, the articulation on this figure, in a moment. But yeah, the feet themselves really nicely done. A different design to the original Alien here. You've got that sort of prehensile toe almost sticking out at a 45-degree angle to the rest of the foot itself. The paint application's very nice. You've got blacks going on in there, you've got greys going on. There is a subtle hint of blue in this figure, which is probably not, well, yeah, I'm hoping the camera's picking this out in the overall figure itself, but that subtle hint of blue is probably being augmented by the lighting here in the background, the blues, because the colour palette that James Cameron chose to use for the film was definitely more influenced by blues, as you can see in the backgrounds in the atmosphere processing station, Hadley's Hope, and all the way through the film. There was most certainly a shades of blue palette used, and there are some subtle hints in this figure as well. But overall, what you're looking at are a combination of blacks, greys, and these muddy bronze colours, if the lighting's catching this, that permeate throughout the entire figure itself, and those can be seen in the feet. The feet, decent articulation on those feet, decent detailing, and that sort of almost glitter-like bronzed effect towards the end of the talons there, which are really nicely done considering this figure is 10 years old. Let's move up. The legs themselves, sculpting's on point. You've got those sort of rib sections which are exposed on the side of the calf area there. Around the back you've got those two little spikes that come out the heels, which is another one of the alterations, but I'm not going to go, as I say, into all the details of the alterations that Stan Winston and his team made. It was just one little sort of protrusion in the heel there, but overall, yeah, they've captured that perfectly. Moving up, the detailing is good. I'm not going to say it's the best it could be. I think for a 10-year-old figure, they've done pretty well with the detailing. You've got that sort of ribbed section, that open section in the thigh area there, which is picked out with those browns and those black paint applications, and it's got that wet look to it, that overall wet look, which the Alien Warriors had in the movie. In fact, all Aliens pretty much have had since their inception, and they've captured that nicely in the paint applications. Moving up to the abdomen, nice detailing on there, pretty much screen accurate. The paint applications, once again, very, very nice, and you're getting a lighter. It's almost as the more you move up the body towards the centre of the abdomen there, the lighter those sort of bronzy, browny gold colours get, which tend to fade out as you move up towards the head section. But overall, yeah, on point. The chest, the all-important exposed skeletal chest. Now, another variation here from the original design. Original design was pretty much sort of vertical across this chest section here. You had a much more of a V shape in this version, but yeah, really, really nicely done. Paint applications excellent for a 10-year-old figure. Moving around to the side here, you've got a ball joint in the arm. The arms themselves very, very nicely done with those odd hooks. It was a strange design choice, this one, but must have been difficult to maneuver in the suits with that sort of almost like a blade coming out from behind the elbow and then moving down towards the wrist section and sort of organically slotting into the wrist. And then we've got the hands. Now, hands were much larger on this take of the Alien, on the Alien Warrior. The digits themselves are much longer. The hands themselves are pegged directly into those wrists, so you've got some movement going there. You can sort of well, it's a peg joint, so we all know how peg joints, the articulation you'll get on a peg joint, and it's not bad. It's not bad at all. These are a little loose. That one looks like it wants to fall out. They've loosened over time, but overall they've stood up pretty well. And the paint application on those hands really nice. And if the lighting is catching that, especially in the palm there, you can really see that subtle hint of blue that I was talking about from the colour palette, and running up the forearm as well. And they've caught that sort of biomechanical feel beautifully here. Super long digits with the groupings into 2 there, which is sort of synonymous with the alien warrior, and you can see that in the back of the hand up this side as well. Nice bone work and structuring going on there. Around the back, let's zip him around the back. We've got the tail. Now this the tail itself is a slight variance in the ending of the tail. It was a lot more it's a lot more blade-like in this version, in the Stan Winston take on the alien. A little bit more hooked in the original 79 version, but they've captured that really well. And the tail itself, beautifully detailed, really well painted. It's captured that segmented quality really well, that biomechanical quality really well. And once again, you're seeing those almost dull, brassy gold paint applications in there. And this tail has a wire in it. Now, it's not the best in the world. Yeah, it's quite a thick wire, and yeah, it takes a bit of force to get it to stay in a sort of a dynamic pose. But overall, yeah, for its time, looking pretty good. And you're probably noticing here, I am avoiding the elephant in the room, the articulation. I think we really need to talk about this, but yeah. There's something worrying, but we'll get to it. Let's take a quick look around the back at those tubes around the back. Now, slightly longer on this particular version, on the Winston version, and that's evident in the back here. But once again, for a 10-year-old figure, I have to say the detailing of the layers of paint is the layering of the paint here that really impresses me. As I say, with that multitude of different colours, and managing to get that slightly blue stroke green hue that gives it that organic feel. And that's really evident on these pipes on the back there, and then that sort of almost spotted brown area at the end. Fantastic paint applications, even by today's standards, but for a 10-year-old piece, very good indeed. And you've got that spike section in the centre of the shoulder blades there, and that's on point. Once again, same great sculpt and paint applications. The head, the all-important head. Now, it's divisive, this head, as I mentioned at the top there, and I recognise that. James Cameron decided, for whatever reason, because I think it was because the domes broke way too easily on set, because James Cameron was asking his aliens to be a lot more athletic and a lot more warlike. And I think there was also rumours that it would steam up. It caused all kinds of problems. So Cameron asked Stan Winston's team to take it back to the drawing board and give him a more solid look, and this is what they came up with. And as I said at the top there, not to everyone's taste. I, however, do like it. I think if as an alternative to the original, I think it looks very good. And you've got to appreciate the circumstances under which it was designed. Probably one of the most important things as well, for me in particular here, is the design of the carapace at the front. Now, many arguments, and I'm not going to try and stir up another hornet's nest surrounding this carapace, because when we did a preview of the new 2.0 Alien Big Chap, it did cause a little bit of a furore, because there are differing opinions out there about the skull that was visible underneath the front of the carapace there, that human-esque skull, which caused a lot of discussion. Now, it wasn't Giga's original design. You can't really see it in the original 79 Alien. I, for one, for whatever reason, whether that was caused by accident or design, I prefer my aliens without that skull at the front. I think what you get is a far more sinister, far more difficult to understand alien. It creates confusion at the same time, because we're looking to think, well, how the hell does he see? Where are his eyes? But at that point, having that skull there humanizes it more for me, which isn't what Ridley Scott was trying to get away from. He wanted something obviously more otherworldly. So I'm not a big fan of it, and it was removed for this particular version. There are slight indentations there in the front of the skull, which sort of hint at eyes, but don't actually show them. But yeah, I think it's more menacing without them. But that's personal taste. Don't shoot the messenger. But the head sculpt itself here, which is on a ball joint, once again is really, really nicely done. Proportions on point, nailed on. Obviously, you've got that sort of more crested look on top of the carapace itself, more solid, and once again those blue hues are in there. The pipes at the sides, really nicely done. That thick pipe that runs down the side there, the two pipes, and the smaller ones underneath, one that runs down to the jaw, the other that runs to the back of the head. And it does have a little party piece. Now, the 79 Alien Big Chap that Hot Toys released was notorious. The body they used overall was based on a rubber body, and it had a tendency to literally fall apart. And probably one of the worst areas for that was around where the inner jaw and the mandibles were. Now, this has, as I say, it has a party piece, and there's a little switch under the head here. And if you slide that switch forward, and I will try and do this on camera, what will happen is the mouth will open, and this is an old figure, you've got to remember it, and the the inner jaw should pop out. Now, can't really do that with one hand, because that mouth section at the bottom there needs a little bit of help. It won't go the full way, but there is an inner jaw in there that's really well painted. I will try and demonstrate this with my other hand if I can just... No, it's not going to work that way. We'll take my word for it. We will demonstrate this when Mr. Go Figure goes back to static cam, and you can see this a little bit more. But yeah, there is an inner mouth in there. Just it's an interesting idea, having this sort of switch section here at the back. It's a novel feature. I think this harkens back to the days when Kenner made Alien figures, and they had a similar feature in them. Not something I would use, a little bit toy-like. This is more of a display model for me. It's not something to play with in that respect. But yeah, it's a nice addition. But once again, you've still got rubber around the mouth here. Now the whole section underneath the mouth here is rubber. Well, it's rubber on top of hard plastic, and then these sort of web sections where the upper and lower jaw meet are soft rubber. Now, once again, it's not as prone to perishing as much as the original 79 Big Chap that Hot Toys gave us, but it is still prone to doing it. So you don't want to screw around with that button at the back too much, because you will wear away this rubber section. Fortunately, it hasn't done that here. Teeth themselves are pretty well painted and sculpted. That inner jaw, yes, we will look at that when we go back to static cam. But overall, yeah, that head is very nicely done. You get a decent amount of articulation and movement in that head. You've got a side-to-side movement going on. Not the easiest thing to do this with one hand. And considering the size of those sort of, let's just zip him off to one side there. Considering the size of those shoulder sections, which are meant to look like piping, you get a decent amount of motion within what is obviously that super extended head. Now, we've skirted around it, we've danced around it, but we haven't talked about it. We need to talk about this figure, and it's the articulation. Now, you probably noticed there, Mr. Go Figure went through that, and the only articulation we talked about was the head and the feet, and there is a reason for that. The materials that Hot Toys chose to use here in the body, now it's hard to describe this. They didn't go full rubber like they did with the original 79. It feels more like a soft plastic than a rubber. However, the suit itself, which extends pretty much from the wrists all the way up to underneath his chest. The chest area is a hard plastic. The shoulder areas are a hard plastic. The arms are coated this way with this sort of softer plastic, as is the leg area, all the way up the leg area, all the way up the abdomen section, all the way up and underneath that chest section. All has this, I would say it's a medium plastic. Now what this does, unfortunately, is give you a statue, not an action figure. There is little to no movement in these elbows. You can feel that there's a joint underneath there, but you don't want to move it. You absolutely don't want to move it, because this is just going to perish here. You can feel that wanting to go even when you touch it. Also as well, the arms aren't going to move anyway because of the nature of the suit itself, and these blades that come out from the elbow and go down to the wrist that we talked about. So it almost looks like, well, Hot Toys thought, well, there's going to be there's no way we can articulate this and keep the screen accuracy with this blade section, so we're just going to make it static, which is understandable for the arms, but unfortunately they've carried on the same thing through to the knees as well. So there is no articulation at all in those. It's a minimum. There's a tiny bit of movement, although I can feel a joint under there, so I suspect there is one. But the nature of it being surrounded by this hard plastic, you're not going to get any movement really. Any movement there is negligible. And of course, because of the nature of that hard plastic, you're going to get nothing in the waist section or chest section either. So there's no ab crunch, there's no twist, and you can't move the chest section either, which sort of defeats the object of an action figure. It takes the action out of action figure, which just gives us figure. And to me, figure equals statue. So yeah, that's probably the biggest gripe I've got here. So I think what we should do now we've had a once over with the xenomorph, is we should dive in for a final verdict and have a quick look at how that mandible works. Okay folks, so it's verdict time on the 10-year-old Hot Toys take on the Alien Warrior from Aliens. Before we do that though, as promised in the previous section, let's get him off this stand and have a quick look at how those mandibles work. Now, as I mentioned in the previous section, there's a little button there. You give that a push, and with a little bit of coaxing at the front here, this is a bit of a problem, that inner jaw will sort of pop out. Paint applications on the inside there are very good. I would have preferred not to have this button and to have some kind of way of opening this mouth and extracting this inner mouth section without having to push that button and then hold it. It does lock off, but over time it's difficult to find the sweet spot. I don't use it anyway, simply because opening and closing that mouth over a prolonged period, this soft rubber here at the side, as I mentioned, is going to tear. So that's the mandible section. Also worthy of note as well at this point, the accessories that come with this figure. Absolutely sod all, basically, other than two bullet hits. They are they're sort of a green resin, like little explosions, and one, I don't have them to hand at the moment, but one clips into the chest section here, and the other one attaches to the side of the head via a magnet, a small magnet. They look pretty good, but I don't use them in the display. The reason I don't use them in the display is because, number one, you can't pose the figure as if it's being hit by a round from a pulse rifle, and there's no other figures in the line that hold a pulse rifle. So we don't have a Hot Toys Ellen Ripley from Aliens, other than a very, very old one that goes with a power loader, which doesn't come with a pulse rifle. And we don't have any Colonial Marines, but as I said, they're on my wish list, so I hope you're listening, Hot Toys. If you're going to dive back down the Alien and Aliens rabbit hole, please give us some Colonial Marines. Give us a new version of Ripley from Aliens. So, a final verdict on this guy. This is a tough one. This is a very, very tough one indeed. I think for a 10-year-old piece, I think it's very, very good indeed. I love it. I think as a representation of the Alien Warrior from the movie, it's great. Hot Toys have nailed the proportions on. I think the paint applications, they could be better, but we've got to remember that paint applications have come on in leaps and bounds in the past 10 years. But I think for the time, they did a cracking job with the paint applications. I think the detailing, the screen accuracy, proportions, very good. I'm loving them a lot. The base, I think, is very good indeed. But unfortunately, and I'm going to be controversial here, you know, whether you like what Stan Winston's team did with the Alien or not, that's personal taste. But I don't think this is a Grail piece, unfortunately. I think it's a very, very good figure for its age, but I don't think it's a Grail figure. And the main reason for it not being a Grail figure is the articulation. At the end of the day, it's not doing what it sets out to do, which is be an action figure that can be posed. Apart from some articulation in the tail, in the head and in the feet, there is nothing here. So really, this is the best pose you're going to get out of this figure, is pretty much a vanilla museum pose. Now, I'm not going to call it a fail, because I think for a 10-year-old piece, I think it's done really, really well, and so it's going to fall into that category that Mr. Go Figure created, that we call a frail, where it's neither a Grail or a fail. It's somewhere in between, but it most certainly, unfortunately, is not a Grail piece, even though the prices that it commands on the aftermarket would say differently. I think this falls down as what it was originally intended to be, which is an action figure. I'm just hoping that Hot Toys have addressed these issues of articulation in their new 2.0 version of the big chap that we previewed recently on the channel. I hope we don't end up going down the same route. And having looked at those pictures closely, I am struggling to see where Hot Toys have added these joints, and they could have gone down the NECA route. They could have, because these type of suits are very, very good at hiding exposed joints. So it's yet to be seen what Hot Toys will have done with the 2.0 big chap, but it's not that we're passing verdict on. It's this one, and unfortunately, no, it fails to be a Grail, and it turns into a frail. So there you have it, folks. That is Hot Toys' take, or 10-year-old take at least, on the Alien Warrior from Aliens. What are your thoughts on this piece? Do you have it in your collection? Are you an Aliens fan? Do you like what Stan Winston's team did with the suit? Do you prefer the original Giga design? What's your thoughts on the original movie? What's your thoughts on anything at all? Nothing is off menu as always, so please drop a comment in the comment section below. I would be fascinated to hear your take on this piece. And what have we got coming up on the channel? Well, we've got a raft more new figure reviews. As I mentioned in previous videos, we've got stuff from Hot Toys, InArt, Susu Toys, Present Toys, Caustic Plastic, X06, Iconic Studios, the list goes on. We've got quarter scale action figure reviews, we've got statues. The two biggest ones coming in the not too distant future, we've got the Caustic Plastic Lon Chaney Phantom of the Opera, the deluxe edition, and we've got the Mondo John Nada from John Carpenter's classic sci-fi movie They Live. So those are the two next big reviews coming up, and we've also got an updated tour video because we've had so many new pieces come in since we last did a tour. So stay tuned for those. And I suppose all it remains for me to say is, from the frail that is Hot Toys Alien Warrior and myself, a massive thank you for watching as always. Take care of yourselves, happy collecting, and it's over to the showcase.